Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to another Sunday with the Attractions Podcast.
We are here. Happy weekend.
Yes,
Or whatever it is for you. Weekend, weekdays, it doesn't really mean anything
it
anymore.
all blurs together at a certain
It does.
point. Like, I don't remember the last time I had a full day off. So
Right.
weekday, weekend, whatever. It's all good.
Right. I saw someone post yesterday like complaining about working on a Saturday. I was like, you do realize most people, nurses,
Yeah,
teachers, bartenders, waiters, theme park
yeah,
workers, they work on the weekend. So your weekend can be whatever day you want it to be.
yes. So if this is your weekend or this is the middle of your work week, thank you for joining us again. Ooh,
Right.
we've got
Full of
we're coming up on 20 people. Um, Let's see if we have any chats yet. Oh, yay, there we got someone in the chat. Brian, of course. Welcome, Brian. Brian says he heard some interesting weekend
fun.
news.
Oh,
Paramount doing a Ferris Bueller spin-off about Sam and Victor who took that's a stretch. Okay. All right. Well, we'll see if that happens. I'm sure we've got to fill up hours on streaming services. So yeah, thank you for having us in the background with you, Vince,
yes.
while you work. We are at 24 people, so let's kick this thing off
Perfect.
in 3, 2, and 1.
Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding.
Welcome to the Attractions Podcast. You are all clear for dispatch. Have fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 153 of the Attractions Podcast. I'm Seth.
And I'm Carly.
And we are here once again to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park news and more, as well as what's going on in our own lives. And Carly has been a busy traveler for the last week. Last time we chatted, you were hanging with Snoop and Martha in Vegas. What have you been up to this last week?
I have been in my work hole. So, I have fun, but then I also work. So I just bury myself in a deep, deep hole and it's dark. I don't escape. I drink lots of coffee, but it'll be worth it because on Tuesday I am going to Victoria and Albert's.
So jealous.
It will all be worth it.
In case you don't know, V&A's is the signature restaurant at the Grand Floridian. It's been closed for a few years, just recently reopened, and from everything I've heard, it is just as luxurious and over the top as ever. So I'm very jelly that you
Yes.
are
Well,
getting.
Matt went from Attractions.
Yes, yes.
And he said it was almost 4 hours.
It is an experience. It is an attraction. It is not just a meal. It is an entire experience, and it is not cheap, but you will get your money's worth. That's for
Right.
sure.
Well,
I've
if my date fails,
yeah.
you are the next on my list. So
I can hire an assassin right now if that's what it takes. Well, I'm jealous of you, but I am happy that you are going to get to do that and talk to us all about it next week, hopefully.
yes,
And I can live vicariously through your Vicky and Al's meal.
yes.
I got to celebrate a birthday this week,
Yes.
and I did it by going to Disney's Animal Kingdom. Because it was the only Walt Disney World theme park that I got to experience before it opened, and have got to like be there through its whole lifespan. So it kind of has a soft spot. I think it's my favorite of the Walt Disney World parks.
Oh, I love it. What did you eat?
You know what? I did not eat anything there that day. I'm sorry. I'm totally lying. I did eat. I went to Satuli Canteen, and I had the chili lime shrimp bowl on noodles, and
So good.
it was excellent. And thank you for reminding me. I was wearing a birthday button, and I got a free cupcake. 2 free cupcakes actually, but I could
Ooh.
only eat about half of one of them because the free birthday cupcakes are not exactly gourmet. In fact, I had trouble giving away the second one, but I really appreciate it. It does pay to wear that birthday button.
Yes.
And more importantly, I got to see some animals. I got to do a live stream through the Maharaja Jungle Trek, and it was pouring rain. So the tigers were a lot smarter than I am. They were inside. They were staying dry. But I did get to hang out with the bats, and I love those bats. So I would say it was a great way to spend my birthday. And I also want to give a shout out to our friend Pastor John, who I got to bump into the next day, do a little walk around Universal with him and Xavier from UO Food Blog. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Really appreciate it.
Sounds like a perfect birthday.
It was a good couple days. I gotta say it's a little lonely. My wife is off on a work trip, and it's me and the cats. But the theme parks are always there to be your family, even when your family is away, right?
Right. And now you have more celebrations when she returns.
Absolutely. Well, I guess without any further ado, it is time to jump into the news in the queue. Okay, we are going to start out this week's News in the Queue with a whole bunch of scary stories, and we'll start out with Universal Orlando, which has finally revealed the full lineup of its Halloween horrors. I know a lot of people were hanging on for this because this is unusually late in the season for Universal to do their final release, but they gave us the whole info dump. We got all the haunted houses, we got all the scare zones, we got all the shows, and it is all kicking off on September 2nd, running through October 31st at Universal Orlando.
Yes, like you said, they waited to the 2-week mark before opening night to reveal that the final 6 will be original concepts, which got me through the roof even more excited.
There's a lot of debate in the Halloween fan community about intellectual properties versus original houses. Universal started out mostly doing original houses, or kind of stealing intellectual property. But, they've been doing for decades now, bringing in big movies, big TV shows. And it had gotten to the point where it was pretty much split 5 and 5, 5 original houses, 5 IP houses. And you'd always have some people say we want more IP. Some people say we want more original. This year, the balance has shifted. For the first time in a lot of years, we've got 6 originals and only 4 IPs. And there are all sorts of behind-the-scenes stories about why that is. But this is what we got. And I am really excited for a few of the originals that they have just announced. We're going to run through them real quick.
So my favorite one that I'm most excited about is Spirits of the Coven. It is based on an unsettling 1920s speakeasy. So you already had me with that because I'm expecting very cool immersive theming. And basically you are the bar guests and you suddenly discover that you are going to be the secret ingredient in the witch's brew. So we could possibly see some, food and beverage tie-in with this. If there's a witch's brew, they have it, one of the bars. But this is the one that I think I am most excited for.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and we'll get into that a little bit more. I am seeing more and more tie-ins between these elaborately themed bars that they've put all around the park this year. The food booths are not just plain booths this year. Each one has an identity and a theme. We're going to talk a little bit more about how it ties into the tribute store. But the way they're integrating food and beverage and merchandise and the attractions this year, I think is really pushing things forward. Okay, so the house that I am most apprehensive / excited about is Bugs Eaten Alive. It is set in a 1950s house of the future, and you know how much I love that theme. But it has been taken over by many-legged creepy crawlings, and from what I've heard, they haven't even put any actors in this house yet. They're just doing the designs, and it's still hard for the designers to walk through this, even without actors to scare them. I hear that we are getting back what they call SIF, stuff in face. If you remember the days where they would have dangly, sticky, slimy stuff hitting you, we're going back to that.
Right. I feel like it's unfortunate that this is going to be a hard no for many people, my husband included, who hates even just the blowing machines. But it's unfortunate because I hear 1950s House of the Future, and that perks my ears up. That is exciting. They could do
Yes.
so many cool stuff. I'm going to go through it at least once.
Yeah.
Maybe with some witch's brew.
And
before.
Brian posted in the comments, our friend BioReconstruct posted some pictures on Twitter showing a really cool looking billboard outside of this house that's really got that that retro future House of the Future theme. And so, yeah, we're calling it the Monsanto home of the buggy future. Yes, Brian, good call. So those are two. Others we have Fiesta de Chupacabras, which is taking the Mexican legend of the goat-eating creature and bringing it to life. Hell Block Horror. Universal's been well known over the years of their prison-themed haunted houses. Haven't done one in a while. But this looks to be freaks and monsters versus savage inmates in a prison. If you like the winter themed houses that they've done in the past, Dead Man's Pier, Winter's Wake, that looks like it's going to be a scenic masterpiece.
Yes.
With a winter storm enveloping a seaside village with undead fishermen and flesh-eating terrors.
Yeah, this is the other one I'm excited for because I'm just anticipating them to use the really cool lighting effect to replicate the snow and the water like we've seen in houses here at Hollow Scream before. And that just really sets the scene and it really makes you feel like you're in a movie.
Yeah, they did a Yeti themed house a few years ago. And they also did a great Brian mentioned the Dead Man's Wharf Scare Zone from 2016. So if you merge those two together, I'm looking forward to that. And then finally, there's been a lot of bad news about subway systems in places like Boston lately. Well, they are building a subway themed haunted house called Descendants of Destruction. It takes place in the subway tunnels of a devastated post-apocalyptic New York City with bloodthirsty mutants. So that should be fun for commuters to terrorize them.
I feel like it's a really well-rounded 10 this year. And of course, it combines with the already announced ones, including Halloween, of course, the Monsters Collide, which that's maybe my most anticipated of the original 4 announced.
Yes, I love the way they've been resurrecting the classic monsters in recent years with these mashup houses. And this one brings together the Mummy with Werewolf and Dracula. I'm not a huge fan normally of Blumhouse, but I like what they've done with their houses in the the events past. And I've just started listening to The Weeknd because of Halloween Horror Nights. I've watched some videos here and there, and so I'm really excited for the After Hours Nightmare. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. But it's the scare zones. They have also kind of upped the ante. They've got 5 of them this year, and some of them sound really innovative. We'll run through them real quick, starting with Horrors of Halloween, which is bringing the Pumpkin Lord out with his devious subjects. This one worries me a little. Scarecrow Cursed Soil. Anytime Universal has done anything with scarecrows or corn, we've had a hurricane. So keep your fingers crossed. Sweet Revenge is the one that I'm super interested in because this is tying into the tribute store. It is a 1950s Halloween small town festival gone disastrously wrong, with a parade turned into a nightmare. But the theming of the scare zone in New York is going to tie right into the tribute store, which I think is really neat.
And we can already imagine some pretty amazing costuming that they're going to do for that. And I'm so excited for that one. And then we have a Graveyard Deadly Unrest. So that's going to be a ghastly cemetery, and that's going to be the location for an ominous Halloween thunderstorm.
Yeah, that looks like they've been setting up all of these graveyard props around the Bourne show. So I think that's where that's going to be. And the last one is Conjure the Dark, which is the realm of an evil sorceress who's raised an army of ravening monstrosities. I have a prediction though that the most popular scare zone, at least on Instagram this year, is going to be the one right in the front of the park, in front of the Minions ride, because if you walk in there and look straight up, you're going to see Little Boo hanging over your head.
Oh, yes.
Little Boo was carved a few years ago. There's a great article about her creator on Orlando Sentinel this week, and Alicia Stella at Park Stop's written about her. But if you're a fan of Little Boo, walk into the canopy with all the pumpkins and look straight up in the dead center.
Definitely. And then, of course, live entertainment has rounded out this announcement, and Halloween Nightmare Fuel Wildfire will actually be the sequel to last year's Halloween Nightmare Fuel. And that was super popular. If anyone went last year, it was always packed. So.
Great show last year that combined dance and music with some magic and a lot of pyrotechnics. This year they are bringing in an international performance group called the Fuel Girls, and there will be a new main character. So they'll be mixing it up with a new wildfire theme. That's one that you're going to probably want to get there a little early to get a good seat. And the other show is Ghoulish, a Halloween tale. And just from the font, I feel like they're going a little more spooky, fun Halloween than trying to go, scary, gory with this. But this is going to be an all-new lagoon show using the fountains and the lasers that follows the Grim Reaper's patrols beyond the grave. It's got a specially mixed musical score. I loved the very first year they did the fountain show during Halloween, and so I'm looking for this one to be just as much fun.
Right, I'm excited. Hopefully, we'll see you all there opening weekend. I am ready.
I'm spending a night in Cabana Bay, but for the second Thursday, not the first one. There isn't a first Thursday, so I'll be there on the 8th. But this is all kicks off on September 2nd, and I mentioned Cabana Bay. They're doing some special stuff over there with a Universal Monsters Gallery of Legends photo op for guests at that hotel. There's Halloween-related stuff going on all over the resort. It's impossible for us to list it all. So go over to universalorlando.com and make your plans now.
Yes.
All right. We are moving west from Universal Orlando to Universal Studios Hollywood. And this is something I did not have on my Halloween bingo card. Yes, we've known about Jordan Peele's Nope becoming a permanent part of Universal Studios Hollywood. And we guessed that it might be part of the Terra Tram, but I did not guess that we would see a mashup of Jordan Peele's Us with Nope as part of the Terra Tram in a crossover for Halloween Horror Nights.
Right. This got me really excited. So it's going to be vengeful doppelgangers from Us, and they're going to be invading the Jupiter's Claim set, which is that demented kind of theme park that has taken over that new area of the Studio Lot tour. Yeah.
So the Terra Tram, if you've never experienced it, is a really unique thing. You're only going to find Universal Hollywood, where they take the studio trams that normally show you how the movies are made. They take you out on them, and then at a certain point you get off and have to walk on foot through these sets. First of all, that's just really cool, because normally you have to be a VIP to walk on those sets. But then they fill them up with scare actors and basically chase you through these sets. So you're like walking past the actual Psycho house being chased by a psycho, which is pretty unique.
It's one of the most unbelievable experiences. I think last year I did it maybe 20 times because I was like, this is the coolest thing. If you are a diehard theme park person, consider going out to Universal Hollywood for their horror nights, because the Terror Tram is worth it alone. It is unbelievable. It is a true experience, and you're kind of running through. So it's a whole different, like, more immersive vibe than even going through a house.
Yeah, there's there's a lot of debate back and forth about the house designs at Hollywood versus Orlando, but the Terror Tram is definitely the thing that sets Hollywood apart. I was so sad that they paused it for a few years and they weren't doing it the last time I was there, and that's one thing that could get me to make another trip out to it. So this, as we mentioned, Nope is the new finale of this. And you're going to face an army of the tethered in Jupiter's Claim. So Worlds collide. The Jordan Peele multiverse is collapsing in on itself. And you'll get to enjoy that along with they've got their own versions of The Weekend, Horrors of Blumhouse, and Universal Monsters, along with the Halloween House. But they're also they've got Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That was a big cult
I
hit.
am that's my favorite movie growing up. So the joy
That
to
says so much about you.
it says everything. But the joy to see it back at Horror Nights, it has always been my favorite thing. They really execute the clowns and their costumes. It is insane. So I am so excited for that.
La Llorona is also on the agenda this year, along with Scarecrow the Reaping and Universal's Horror Hotel. That's a
Interesting.
new one.
Mhm.
So plus they've got 3 scare zones. They're bringing the Death Eaters into the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, like they have been doing in Orlando. And the Jabberwockies Dance Crew is back with a new show. If we want a little more insight, Brian has dropped some tidbits in our comments from Murdy. If you don't know, he is the guy in charge of Halloween out in Hollywood, and he is very open doing Q&As online and stuff. So a few little tidbits. The Killer Clowns looks like it's going to be a straight up recreation of the last time they did it, which was a great walkthrough last time I did it. But they've tweaked La Llorona. Yes, you are actually going to be walking through the actual sets that were used in the movie Nope. So that's pretty darn cool.
Yes. So go out to Hollywood this year. It is a totally different vibe. So you have to kind of reprogram your mind because it is not like Orlando at all. Houses are not like it, but they do offer things that you just can't get.
Absolutely. Yep. It definitely, if you're the kind of person who goes to Orlando's Halloween every single year, take a year and save up some money and check out the West Coast because there's a lot of great things out there. Speaking of which, Knott's Scary Farm is also unleashing some new frights this year for 2022. They are the OG of West Coast Halloween
49
events.
years. Yes.
Yeah, they blow Universal out of the water when it comes to Halloween event longevity. This year they're back from September 22nd through October 31st. They've got 5 new scares, 12 returning terrors. It's a huge event. Just the sheer amount of content. And while they don't redo their haunted houses every year like Universal does, there is so much to do there that if you haven't been or you haven't been in several years, it doesn't matter that they aren't all brand new every year.
Absolutely. I mean, I went last year opening night, and it was probably my favorite haunt event of all of last year. It is just so well done, so insane, so scary. I actually I'm not like a screaming person. It is actually really scary, and I'm excited that this year they're going to be offering new experiences.
Yes. So the first up is Bloodline 1842, which you better be armed with the latest Bellatorian weaponry to take on the immortal Daybreakers while hunting for the bloodthirsty Valachimpri in the busy city streets of Valdonia. Did I pronounce any of that right? No, I don't think so. Maybe. So this looks like a kind of steampunk twist on vampires. It actually reads more like the description of a video game than a haunted maze.
Right.
But that's pretty cool. And also the Grimoire.
Grimoire.
They're giving me all of these words and expecting me to pronounce them on a Sunday. Can't do this to me. Well, this one is dark stories of ancient relics, turning this maze into a nightmare for the unsuspecting with demonic creatures in a world created by a mysterious spellbook. So basically, it's Scarlet Witch got the dark hold and everything went bad, right?
Right.
Right.
And Beyond the Fog is what I am most excited about. This will be the first time they do a behind-the-scenes 3-hour tour. And
a 3-hour
tour I want to do, it would be this one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Universal here in Orlando has been doing those behind the scenes tours. And this way you'd get to learn a little about the history of Knott's annual event. Like I said, it goes back almost half a century, and get to get a lights on tour to see some of the detail in these houses. In terms of entertainment, there is a reimagined Le Magnifique Carnaval de Grotesque that is going to be on the Calico Mine stage, as well as Conjurer's Dark Magic, transforming the Birdcage Theater into a den of death.
Oh, yeah. And so there's going to be some returning mazes
Mhm.
from years past. I love this one, Mesmer Slideshow of the Mind. This is really creepy. You enter a tent and you learn kind of about the secrets of the human mind by the hypnotical Mesmer, and it is
Mhm.
weird and creepy and just all the things.
I remember they put out a really great, like, movie
Yes.
quality trailer
Mhm.
when they came up with that maze. Waxworks is also back, uh, finding your way through an abandoned wax museum. Origins, Curse of Calico, which kind of ties into the history of the park's Old West section. Um, Pumpkin Eater, which the picture alone is that's nasty. Uh, a
My
once terrified town is now silent as a graveyard while the Pumpkin Eater is on the prowl. Yeah, moving
yeah,
on.
my favorite last year was Dark Ride.
That's the one I've watched so many walkthrough videos and I would love
So
to do that myself.
cool. So you're walking through basically an abandoned attraction called
Mhm.
Dark Ride, Castle of Chaos, and you meet these kind of just really demented leftover creatures that were trapped forever inside the attraction. And it is bizarre. I think I did it like 3 times in one night because I was like, this is just crazy. It's not as much scary as it is just crazy. And if you love theme parks and attractions,
Oh, yeah.
they
I
really
I'm I know that, if you're familiar with Knott's past, there were all sorts of props and
Mhm.
Easter eggs there to old stuff. Um, we've also got The Depths, which is a, pitch black underground cave in an abandoned port village draped in heavy fog. Remind me to bring a flashlight for that one.
They did insane lighting with this last year, kind of what we were talking about with at Universal Orlando with the lighting and the water effects. That was insane
Mhm.
too. So I'm excited to see how they do it this year.
Yeah, and the last one this year is Dark Entities, which is you on a lone space station filled with an evil mutation of extraterrestrial origins. Um, in addition, they've got scare zones, the Goring 20s, Ghost Town Streets, Carnival, The Hollow, and Forsaken Lake. Plus a whole bunch
Ooh,
of entertainment. The headliner for me would be Puppet Up Uncensored, which comes from the Jim Henson Company.
and it
Uh,
is dirty.
oh
Like,
yeah, that is one not to take the kids to
yeah,
for
just so
sure.
you know. Yeah, and this is really cool. I love the Timber Mountain Log Ride does. So that's like their log flume a la Splash Mountain. A lot of the same creators were
Yes,
involved with it.
Garner Holt worked on that,
It's a fever
and
dream of Splash Mountain, and they do a holiday overlay.
not only do they add characters and lighting to it, but it's got a soundtrack by Crazy Kirk and the Hillbillies, formerly known from Frontierland in Disneyland.
Yeah.
There's also going to be a Scary Farm tribute art show, looking back over the 49-year history. And you can't miss the chicken dinner restaurant. They're doing a buffet meal. All sorts of food and drink options abound.
Yes, and
So,
that is a really good one if you wanna get early entry into some of the
mhm,
houses, and then you don't wanna maybe splurge for the all access pass, but
mhm.
their Fright Fast Lane pass. The buffet gives you early access to several houses, so you could really knock out the whole night, and it's only $45 including dinner, so that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, that's a really reasonable. And one thing to keep in mind, this is taking place on weekends, and Knott's Berry Farm recently implemented a very strict policy: no minors under the age of 18 without an adult chaperone on the weekends. So, if you bought your kid tickets to Knott's Berry Farm and you thought you'd just drop them off at the gate, it
Nope.
ain't happening. No. And they are going to be taking security seriously. So, No large bags, and if you can avoid bringing a bag at all, that's probably best.
Absolutely.
Okay, and did you say you wanted more Halloween?
Yes.
More Halloween? Yes! Well, let's do it. Howl-O-Scream at SeaWorld Orlando has also revealed its full lineup of terror for 2022. All new haunted houses, scare zones, shows, and, of course, themed bars coming at you from September 9th through October 31st.
Yes, so there's some new returning ones. We have Blood Beckoning, which is you enter the domain of Scratch, a siren with a thirst for blood, who will do all she can to make sure the unwary never escape her clutches.
Ooh. Siren of the Seas is it's no cruise ship to a tropical paradise. No, no, no. It's a boat filled with restless souls, making sure you never return to port.
Right. And then you have Captain's Revenge, Drowned in Darkness. If you don't find a way out, you'll become part of the crew who will have driven mad by cursed treasure.
Dead Vine's Root of Evil is a lovely garden stroll that turns into a race through an undead jungle that wants to make you part of the landscaping.
Yes. And then Beneath the Ice, it's going to start out as a rescue mission in the Arctic Circle, but is going to end beneath the ice. And that sounds terrifying.
Yes, that is the one that was built into the Wild Arctic walkthrough,
Yes.
and that was definitely my favorite last year.
Mhm.
In terms of scare zones, they're bringing back Terrors of the Deep, which is around the Atlantis ride. Sea of Fear is new, and all we know about that is the welcome won't be friendly when you enter this body of water. So I don't know if you have to wear a bathing suit for that one. I'm guessing that one might be the waist-high lasers with the
Yes.
fog. It makes it look like you're walking through
Love
water.
those. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then you have a Cargo Carnage, which is a sinister presence awaits behind the crates in a new area where the freight is all about the freight.
Yes, Cutthroat Cove is a shipwrecked crew that's out for revenge upon you. Frozen Terror, Alive in the Ice, that's kind of tied into the Beneath the Ice. I mean, the name pretty much tells you all, but
Right.
they've reimagined that zone. And the last two are Deadly Ambush, which communing with nature has never been so murderous. They really want to make you frightened of the natural world, don't they?
Right.
And finally, Witchcraft Bayou, Backwater Bayou, Voodoo, and Zealous Worshippers to hang out with and hopefully get your drink on.
Yes, they do. Their theme bars are epic. If you haven't
Yes.
gone, they really have perfected that.
Yeah. Shows coming back this year are an updated version of the Monster Stomp show, a new storytelling show called Lurking in the Depths, an Adventure's Tale, and there is also kind of like a dance acrobatic show, Siren's Song.
Yes. Now, my favorite part: pick your poison, because you need a little bit of liquid courage to go through some of these houses, mazes, scare zones. So they are going to have 5 theme bars this year, and one of the new ones is Alora's on the Rocks.
Oh, well, I know that last year I spent some time in the Longshoreman's Tavern, which they're bringing back, they're plussing,
Mhm.
and I would say if you are a fan of the Adventurers Club or Hollywood Studios Streetmosphere, but want it with a little edge, maybe with some cursing, go hang out in the Longshoreman's Tavern, because they have some really, really funny performers, and they will interact with you all night long as you keep buying drinks.
Absolutely. And then there's also Tormented, Siren's Last Call, and Poison Grotto.
So all of this can be yours for the low, low price of $34.99 or even $29.99 if you're an annual pass member. That sale ends today. If you're listening to this live, August 21st. They will happily still sell you a ticket for a higher price if you're listening to this on a recording. And you can find out more about that at SeaWorldOrlando.com. Brian had a question in the comment if we think that Orlando and Tampa are on par for their Howl-O-Scream events, or does each have pros and cons? I would say they both have pros and cons. A pro for SeaWorld for me is it's a lot closer drive.
Right.
obviously Busch Gardens is a lot more established. They've had a lot more years to develop their event, to figure out how to use. Last year was a great start for SeaWorld, but they're still finding their footing. And just in terms of the sheer amount of content, there isn't as much there yet as Tampa has. But give them a few more years, and I think they'll be neck and neck.
Absolutely. And then for these price points, it's like I'm thinking about, oh God, I blew $190 on Oogie Boogie Bash. I would rather almost maybe you can go to Orlando and Tampa, and it's still cheaper.
You could do Howl-O-Scream, you could do the SeaWorld's event, you could throw in like Scream and Stream or one of these other local events, a couple of independent haunts, all for a lot less than a Rush of Fear pass at Universal or an Oogie Boogie ticket. So yeah, they're definitely a good value compared to some of the bigger events for sure. Okay, well, we're going to take a little break from Halloween, and instead we're going to talk about virtual reality for a minute. Zero latency free roaming VR is coming to Icon Park, and these folks used to be at the main event in Point Orlando. They moved out of there a while ago, but they are coming back with a new generation of immersive virtual reality that gets rid of the backpacks and the wires.
This is pretty crazy. I don't know much about this, but apparently you team up with 7 other players and then you're playing in 5K virtual reality.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm a bit of a VR nerd. I have the hardware. I have a Quest 2, and I have done zero latency in Las Vegas, and I've done pretty much every VR ever. And I'm really excited about this because what they're doing is they're using the new HTC Vive Focus 3 headsets, which are way sharper than all the other consumer headsets. They've got a 5K image, which is even better than your 4K TV, which is good when you've got that screen pressed up like 1 inch from your eye. But they do a 90 hertz refresh rate. If you've got a Quests do like 72 hertz. So, and 120 degree field of view. So instead of looking like you're looking at everything through a scuba mask, you get a little bit more peripheral vision. It makes a huge difference. But the real big innovation is all the other high-end VR that I've done. You literally have to wear a big computer in a backpack, with the fans running and the battery and everything. And then you've got that connected by a big cable to the back of your head the whole time you're doing it. That's not very comfortable. This is using new wireless technology to stream everything directly into your headset. So all you have to worry about is the thing on top of your head. You're not carrying a big bulky backpack. I think that'll make a huge difference.
How does it compare to visually, like some using an Oculus? That's really my only.
Sure. Yeah. So I have, if you've got the original Oculus, like the Rift or the Quest 1, this is going to be so much sharper. Even the Quest 2 is a big step up, but like the older VR headsets, you always see the blocks. Everything looks like you're looking through a screen door because you can kind of see all the pixels. This, by the time you get to 5K, it's each individual dot is indistinguishable. So you can read fine text. If you've got 20/20 vision in real life, you've got 20/20 vision pretty much in the headset because you can resolve that kind of fine detail.
So I assume you'll be doing this.
I will hope that they invite me out.
Yes.
I've actually played most of their games. Some of their games are returning. Engineering is a great one. They've got a fun zombie survival, an undead arena. I've played Singularity a few times, but one of the newer ones that they are going to be bringing here hopefully is Far Cry VR. That's based on a very popular computer and console game series, and they turned it into a VR experience that looks really exciting.
Wow, and it's coming to Vegas first.
Yes, the first one, they've already got a location in Vegas. This one is going to be at the MGM Grand Hotel. And they're also going to follow that up in Seattle, Washington, Houston, Dallas, and Orlando, plus Cincinnati. So we are on the short list. And if you want to know exactly when you can book this and try this out for yourself, head on over to zerolatencyvr.com. Okay, talking about video games, if you've ever want to be sucked inside the world of Jumanji, just like characters in the movies, the first ever Jumanji themed land is going to open at Chessington World of Adventures in the UK in spring of 2023.
This is so interesting because Jumanji is such an old IP to me, and we're seeing so much theme park integration now. We had that attraction open in Italy, which looked amazing, almost like an Indiana Jones Disneyland, and now we're seeing a whole land in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, we grew up with the Robin Williams
Right.
movie, but there's a whole new generation that knows it from the reboots with The Rock, and those have been phenomenally successful. And so now, as of August 15th, they announced that Chessington World of Adventures and Sony Pictures are going to team up to create this land. You're going to be welcomed into it with sort of an overgrown archway that will reveal a jungle land, and the kind of the icon of the land is going to be a 55-foot tall jaguar shrine structure that looks like it's got a roller coaster track wrapping around it.
Yes, and they're not really saying much. They're kind of mums the word on any
Yeah.
sort of attractions, ride. So like this is all we really have to go with it. It looks like a roller coaster.
Yeah, they're putting off any details on exactly what rides, attractions, or experiences. But you mentioned earlier in Italy, Gardaland, which is another Merlin attraction, I believe. They opened a dark ride that was really pretty sophisticated for a park of that size. So it wouldn't be impossible for a clone or a version of that ride to turn up here. Obviously, they're teasing a roller coaster, even if they're not admitting it. That looks like a B&M track.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
Hard to say, though. But yeah, the idea is that people who love this franchise are going to be stepping inside of it and as early as next spring. That seems really, really quick to build an entire land. So looking forward to more information coming out of Merlin Entertainment about what exactly is going to be part of it.
Absolutely.
All right. Coming back home, at least for me, here in Orlando, the Gaylord Palms Resort, after a COVID pause, is bringing back its beloved ice event. And this time it is going to be themed after Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
I love this event. It is done so well. It's super family friendly. I think it's worth the cost. There's ice slides. So you already had me at that. And they bring in this team from China that actually, there are 40 professional ice sculptors. And they're the ones that come and build this entire, it's basically a land, I guess I would explain it.
Okay, theme park tie-in. If you have ever watched the film in the China Pavilion at Epcot, and there is a brief segment where they show you the Winter Festival in Harbin, China, with these amazing structures, sculptures, slides made out of ice and all lit up. Those are the folks who they fly over here. And obviously for the last 2 years with COVID, they've had to put all that on pause. But it's so great that they are coming back. There's even a little workshop at the end of the walkthrough where you can sort of see, the tools that they use and how they do it. It's just an incredible process putting this whole thing together. Some of them stand 30 feet tall. Just imagining working in there all day. It's 9 degrees Fahrenheit when you're inside. They give you a parka, but bring your own gloves and hat and scarf and everything else because you're going to need it. Can you imagine working in there to build it? I don't know how they do it. But it's also interesting that they got the license for the Grinch, especially since Universal is very well known for their Grinch celebration right down the street.
Yes. So this is exciting that it's back. There are ice slides, which are really fun. It's like ice luging and these big inner tubes. They do live sculpting demonstrations. They have shows, activities. They usually have like hot chocolate huts, all different little fun little like festive snacks.
I grew up in New Jersey. We could just, when it snowed, we could just grab a sled or
Right.
a tube and find a big hill. Kids in Florida don't have that opportunity. So, even though it's a man-made hill with man-made snow inside a convention center, it's still a lot of fun.
They go really fast. I will
Yeah.
say, like the first time you go down, you don't expect it to be like that. It
You
is
better
pretty
hold on.
crazy.
Yep. They've also got a lot of entertainment coming back. They've got their Cirque Spirit of Christmas show, which includes trapeze artists and aerial silk performers. The Greatest Story, which is a nativity show done through the eyes of 6 different international storytellers. And Shine, which is the lighting of their LED covered Christmas tree, which includes animation and music. There's also an Adventure Kids Wonders of Winter show, and a Three Wise Men show that is going to take place to celebrate the Hispanic Three Kings Day.
Right. And there's also a ton of activities. So if you don't want to splurge on the ice, because I know it can get expensive, you have a family, 4 people, going to the Christmas lights there, I mean, depends on what kind of restrictions, if they keep it to hotel guests. But usually if you purchase some activity, you can get into the Gaylord.
Yeah, the Gaylord's big atrium area, which is like an attraction of itself, and it's all decked out. And often, especially if you're just going there to eat at a restaurant or something,
Right.
you can freely walk around. A lot of these shows, you can just watch without having a ticket. So there's also, if you do want to spend a little bit more money, they've got a Naughty or Nice Santa's themed escape room, a snow factory like we talked about, an elf training academy where you can make a toy, and a gingerbread decorating corner where you can decorate a cookie or gingerbread house. And they've also got their Build-A-Bear workshop, of course. Yeah, and it's just great ambiance. Millions of lights. They got that 60-foot tall tree. It's really a great place to visit.
Right, absolutely. And I'm seeing they're doing now a feast with Grinch. So their buffet character breakfast now is going to have an appearance by the Grinch and his adorable little dog, Max.
Yeah, I was really caught by that, especially since
Yeah.
we just talked about how when Universal announced their holiday offerings, they didn't specifically say that their Grinch breakfast is coming
No.
back. So if you are missing the breakfast with the Grinch, this is your opportunity right here.
Right.
And of course, you can't forget about Santa Claus. The big man himself is going to be meeting guests in his Alpine village. He's there from November 18th through Christmas Eve. And Mrs. Claus also shows up to read traditional Christmas tales to the kids.
Right. And then, of course, if you stay there, you get some additional perks. And it could be worth it doing a little staycation. It's really fun, and it guarantees that you're right there in the heart of the action. You can open your balcony and see the lights.
Yeah, and you get a front of the line pass. They call it a chill pass if you're staying overnight. So you can skip the lines for some of those attractions like ice, and also early entry. So good perks for staying there. Christmas at GaylordPalms.com is the address for all the information. And once again, it all kicks off on November 18th and runs through January 1st. And our final piece of news in the queue, Disney Legends for 2022 are going to be announced at D23. That's happening September 9th through 11th in Anaheim. And they are going to be inducting some big names of the current day, and also some folks really important to Disney's history, which is about to celebrate the company's 100th anniversary.
Yeah, this was a really well-rounded list. You have Anthony Anderson, Kristen Chenoweth, obviously from Frozen, Idina Menzel, and of course the late actor Chad Boswick.
All right, I'm going to have to bust you on that one. It is Kristen Bell, not Kristen Chenoweth.
Oh my god!
Uh,
Say that. I was picturing a tiny blonde.
yes. Kristen Bell, who, if you are a Veronica Mars fan, you know very
Yes.
well. But yes, her Disney connection is mostly for Frozen. I don't think that they are inducting her for her role in Reefer Madness.
No.
But some of the folks behind the scenes that they are inducting include Rob Coltrane. He's a retired Imagineer who worked on Runaway Railway and Raider Springs Racers. A big name that you should know, but maybe don't, Robert Price, Bob Foster. He worked for Disney going way back to 1956, but the reason you should know him was he was the guy who was the top secret scout who helped Walt buy up all the land for the Florida Project, what later became Walt Disney World. So if he hadn't been doing that, they probably wouldn't have been able to afford to build Walt Disney World.
And this could probably tie into Walt's plane that's going to be at D23 too, because he
Ab-
was cruising
absolutely.
around in that.
Yes, he absolutely would have been one of the people flying around on that for sure. More actors include Josh Gad from Frozen and Jonathan Groff from Frozen. Um, uh, but you've also got animator Don Hahn, who worked on everything from Pete's Dragon to Beauty and the Beast and the Lion King. Doris Harjoon, who is an Imagineer who worked on Epcot and Disneyland Paris and the cruise line. And Chris Montan, who was the Vice President of Music, and he was involved in the soundtracks for The Little Mermaid and The Lion King. So a lot of people who had a really big impact, both on screen and behind the scenes, for the Disney company's history.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a nice presentation. Fingers crossed I get in, because that is one of the hardest ones to get in at
Yes.
D23.
Absolutely. Yes, you will have to, I guess, or they're going to be using a show pass system, or you'll have to line up real early for that one. Luckily, the opening ceremony is going to be streamed as part of D23 Expo Live. That's going to include musical performances and special guests. So even if you can't make it in person to this event that's totally sold out, you will hopefully be able to watch it from home. I know that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, and the Marvel showcase will also be live streamed. So I know that's very
Yes, that's a big one. Set your calendar for September 9th to find out a lot about the future of Disney and Marvel. So if you want more information about all of this, d23.com is the place to go. All right. I'm going to take a little breath. Deep cleansing yoga breath in.
Yes. That is all
Breath out.
for this week's News in the Queue.
That's all we got for this week's News in the Queue, which means it's time for our main attraction.
It's time for the main attraction.
All right. It has finally come. Disneyland Magic Key renewals have arrived, but they aren't exactly the same as they were. In case you have not been following all of the drama, folks who bought their Disneyland Magic Keys, or annual passes, as they used to be called, when the park first reopened and they went on sale, those folks all had them running out and were anxiously waiting news of what's going to happen. Well, we found out on my birthday, of course, August 18th, they finally dropped the bomb that, yes, you can renew your pass, but your pass is not quite the same pass that you had before. And we are going to run down the details and the changes right now, starting at the very top, where the Dream Key, which had no blackout dates, is gone, and it's been replaced by the Inspire Key that does have blackouts.
Yes. So this means, as an annual pass holder, there's no pass at all that gets you 365 access, which is huge.
Yes.
Huge.
If you were an annual pass holder who had a family tradition of every Christmas you go to Disneyland, or Thanksgiving, you're going to have to look for a different way of doing it. You're going to be buying a one-day ticket because Even the top of the line ticket now at Disneyland has blackouts dates. It's a limited number of them, and
Right.
honestly, a smart pass holder doesn't really want to be in the park on those days. But that was an option before. It's not an option anymore.
Right. And so that was really the only one that changed.
Mhm.
Additionally, there's some benefits that they
Yes.
changed, and that
Yes.
comes down to parking.
Mhm.
You now get Genie. I think the discount is on Disney Plus.
So, the in terms of benefits, the big change is the top two tiers now get unlimited Disney Photo Pass
Right.
included. Uh, that's nice. Walt Disney World used to include that with passes. Now we get charged an extra $100 a year to add that on at Disney World. So that's a nice perk to include with those top two tiers. Another big change, as you mentioned, is before there were no discounts for anyone on Genie Plus,
Right.
period. Now you get 20% off with any of the levels of the keys. And what I think is interesting about this is at Disneyland, a Genie Plus normally costs $20, but there are no taxes in California on that. In Walt Disney World, it's $15, but once you factor in the tax, it comes
Right.
out to about $16. So when you take the 20% off of $20, the Disneyland Genie Plus for annual pass holders now costs almost exactly the same as a day of Genie Plus in Walt Disney World, but you get that photo pass if you don't already have it with your pass. So that's I think that's a nice little perk. Obviously, they've still got merchandise and food discounts, but the other big difference is top tier has always gotten included parking.
Right.
Second tier has 50% off parking. That hasn't changed. But the bottom two tiers are now getting 25% off parking, but only if they go to the Toy
Ugh.
Story lot. Now
Right. You're gonna have to shuttle or walk.
okay, so Toy Story lot is I it has its pluses.
Right.
For one, it's got its own dedicated security scanning. So once you go through security there and you're on the bus, they drop you off and you get to go straight into the park and you don't have to line up for security again. And especially in the morning when people are trying to come off of the interstate and go into Mickey and Friends or Pixar Pals, it can really jam that up. Whereas the crowd flow into Toy Story is sometimes better. Plus, you always have the option of walking in from Toy Story. It's a walk, but I'd stay at the hotel that's right next to the Toy Story lot. I'd
Absolutely.
do it all the time.
Oh yeah, because it's just
So
past Hotel Lulu, so
yeah,
it's really not a bad walk.
no, it's not terrible. But what is interesting is that I know a lot of locals already were parking in Toy Story, but I'm wondering if this pushes more and more now of people towards Toy Story and gets that to fill up even faster. Normally, Mickey and Friends is the first to close, and then they start shoving people towards Toy Story. I wonder if that might reverse. So
Absolutely. I am an Enchant Key. I haven't done the renewal
I am the
yet
same. Exactly. Yep.
because I didn't feel like dealing with. I heard Thursday was just a bit of a nightmare with waiting and waiting. I'm like, it's going to be there for us because we are
Yes.
able to be renewed. I'm going to do it this week. I am sticking with my Enchant Key as a more casual visitor who doesn't need to go on peak weekends. The Enchant Key for $6.99 and being able to make 4 park reservations, I think is a steal. I got way more than my money's worth of it this past year.
Yeah, for sure. I personally have not actually used my Enchant Key since I upgraded to it, so I'm hoping I get to take advantage of it at some point before it expires.
Right.
You've also got to consider price increases here. I just I just renewed my Walt Disney World annual pass here as a Florida resident.
Mhm.
Florida resident renewal, I did not get the equivalent of the Platinum Pass. I stepped down one to the Sorcerer's Pass. But really, that's just got not that many more blackout dates than the Inspire Key,
Well,
Disneyland.
don't get me started on that because I regret not doing that because it is a $300 or $400 difference.
It's
and
a
you're really
huge difference, and it's only like it's like 10 days difference in the blackouts.
It's really just
Um,
Thanksgiving and Christmas, which I don't really care for going either, but it is a major
yeah,
difference in price.
but I got that Florida pass renewal, and with the Photo Pass upgrade, and it came out to $909. And so
Really?
here at Disneyland, that's for 4 theme parks. Now you can argue that there's more to do in the 2 parks at Disneyland than in the 4 parks at Disney World. But you're looking at, $1,099 for a Believe key, versus, 900 and change for the Disney World equivalent. Disneyland annual passes have been more expensive for a while, but they really, when we were talking $1,599 for an Inspire key, or $133 a month if you do the monthly payments, you're going to have to visit the park, I would say, at least once a week, maybe, to make
Right.
that pay off. Like,
Absolutely. I've seen some
make a
people
spreadsheet and do the math.
Yeah, and it's
Figure out what your
once
break
a
even
week.
is. I think on this Inspire key, if you compare this Inspire key to just like buying a 5-day park hopper, once a month, uh, it's gonna be hard for a lot of people to decide whether this is still in their budget.
Absolutely. And remember, this is only for renewals. So
Yep.
no one even has an
Yes.
opportunity
Yes.
to access
Don't look at this and think, oh, maybe I'll go out and buy a Disneyland
Yeah.
annual pass. No, this is only for people who have already got one that is expiring or is within 30 days of expiring. Otherwise, you are still out of luck. One last point that Brian brings up, that class action lawsuit. So there was a class action lawsuit filed by people who had the old top of the line pass, which they have now renamed. That they're saying, well, they were promised no blackout dates, but every time they tried to book, there were no park pass reservations, and that's the equivalent, functional equivalent of a blackout date. So we want our money back and lots more money. The last I heard, that suit was actually going forward, but is not scheduled to arrive in court for almost a year. So Disney was not going to just put their whole business on hold. What they did do was add to the fine print of all of these new passes. If you renew, in the process of renewing, you are signing things saying that you have absolutely no right to engage in a class action lawsuit or basically anything other than arbitration with Disney's selected arbitrator, which basically means you get bupkis. So do not buy one of these thinking you're going to join a class action lawsuit and make a whole lot of money. Ain't happening.
No. I feel like it really, the raw end of the deal are the 2 top tiers. If you're doing Enchant or Imagine, no complaints here. But this is really for the people that go like twice a week. They're going to have to pony up some money. You lose some benefits.
I feel like the people this is going to hurt the most are the vloggers. Won't someone please think of the poor vloggers? If you were making, or the eBay pirates, if you were making your living off of going to Disneyland, on a weekly basis, if you're doing that for profit and not for fun, it might not be as profitable anymore. I mean, I'm sure a lot of these folks are making enough that $1,600 a year is a drop in the bucket. But all those wannabe influencers, people trying to start their career, that's an expensive. You might want to look at becoming a Knott's Berry Farm blogger instead.
Right. Well, I am happy with my Enchant key.
Yeah.
It is a great value, and I will stick with that when I renew this week.
All right. Well, I hope that you are able to do that without waiting too many hours in a queue. All right. Well, I think that is going to just about wrap it up for this week. We've actually gone over an hour, so thank you so much for sticking with us.
Halloween.
Yep, and it's just going to get worse. I'm sure we've got more announcements to come. But before we go for this week, I just want to remind everyone, please go on over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review, and also leave us a rating on Spotify. If you want to find out more about us, more coverage from us and Attractions Magazine all throughout the week, Carly, where can folks find you?
Yes, I am Carly Caramata on Twitter and Adventures by Carly on Instagram.
And I am at the UG Series on Twitter, at the Unofficial Guides on Instagram, and I'm also on theunofficialguides.com, where you can pick up copies of my book. And of course, you can find all the coverage from Attractions Magazine at attractionsmagazine.com, at Attractions on Twitter, at Attractions Magazine on Instagram, at youtube.com/Attractions Magazine, and for the kids, at Attractions on TikTok.
Ooh.
And until next week, I hope you folks stay safe, try something new, but most importantly, have fun, and we will see you all next time. Bye.
See you next time.